This is We Burlesque.
Hi, I'm Shimi LaRue.
This is Antonio Amor. This is Newfoundland.
This is Mixed Pucks Aplenty.
Hi, I'm Roxy Sunshine, the one who's a little bit of everything with a whole lot of shine. This is We Burlesque, Season 10.
I have a touch screen and I always use a stylus because even like on my cell phone, because I guess my fingers are too chubby or something and they always hit the other numbers or letters or whatever. And
I feel do you have an iPhone or
I use it. No, I have an Android.
I
and
feel
everyone
like the
keeps telling me, why did you switch? Well, because I might have to learn everything over again. Well, before that, I had a dinosaur phone. Everybody referred to it as a dinosaur phone. I had one of those little flip phones. I can't think of the name of the carrier that I had. They were bought by T-Mobile or Verizon. I can't remember the name of them. That's something else that has happened really strange since my diagnosis. Memory problems. Yeah.
Did they say that was going to be a side effect of the medication, or?
It's called anesthesia delirium.
No.
And actually,
I know that drag queen.
I know it does sound like it does sound like it does sound like I know. No, it's some people it happens, especially if you're older. I'm 78 now. I'll be 79 this year.
Right.
And it's like the older you get, and if you have to have surgery, there's always a chance that it could happen. But unfortunately, no one even told me that this would happen or could happen. And it was like a brain fog for the first like 3 months. And then finally, and I start reading and asking questions. And then finally I couldn't talk to the anesthesiologist naturally. You see them for 5 minutes. And so it's actually my oncologist. And then the breast team. The breast team, they're the ones. This is Kaiser. Kaiser is just so great for me. They've just been, anyway. But yeah, and they said sometimes this happens. And they said it will go away. It will, and it has. It's better. It's 100% better than it was. But I still have this. Sometimes speaking, I just forget words. And it's so funny when I'm with. I have a girlfriend here, real close girlfriend. I'm with her. I'm with Cat Wings. I'm with Rose, the lady that did my costume, helped me with my costumes. I would start a sentence and they would finish the word or the sentence because I couldn't remember. It was really kind of funny. But the word thing, that still happens every now and then. Yeah. And then I have to kind of, what I usually do is like change the subject. And then they're looking at me like, what? But, people are very understanding about that.
Of course. Well, so many of us probably would like a medical diagnosis to explain why we forget certain words. So at least you have the reason.
Yeah. But hopefully it'll get better.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So officially, I'm Victor Devon, and this is We Burlesque the podcast, and I have my special guest Shawna the Black Venus here with me. Audience at home, you're in for a real snack right here because Shawna has been working since the early 70s, right?
Correct.
With a little break in the middle, and we'll get to that. But I'm dialing into Honolulu.
Yes. Well, not really Honolulu because I live on the windward side of Honolulu. It's about 20 minutes over the.
Why is that not technically
mountains.
Honolulu?
It's Honolulu County, but it's not Honolulu, the city, because there's the windward side, and there's Honolulu, and there's the North Shore, and there's the east side on the island of Oahu. Yeah. So that's like.
Despite the fact that the United States claimed Hawaii, and depending on what information one is given, not so nicely in a lot of the ways, but that I still feel that it's still something of a mystery, exotic land for the mainland. Like we don't know a lot of, like it still seems like another world.
Yeah, well, they stole it.
Mm,
They didn't blame it. They came over here with soldiers like I mean, I hate to say this, but it's true.
mm,
The colonizers, they came, they took it like they done to Africa, India, Thailand. I mean, just, this is all in the past, but this is things
for
that
sure.
they've done. But we're here. This happened, I can't remember the year. It was 18. But anyway, one good thing, they did get like an apology from when Clinton was in president, but
Hmm.
that's about it. But there's still things going on over here that should not be going on. I mean, there's like all this land it's being claimed by people are coming from all over the world. They're buying condos. We have such a homeless problem here, so much because they build condos and they're luxury condos. They're not
Hmm.
for local people.
Hmm.
I mean, they're not. That's why, for instance, I am having so much trouble now trying to find a decent, nice, just simple little one bedroom. I was blessed when I found this one, but they have to bring their, uh, his mom back from Big Island, and she has to be here. They actually built this place for her anyway, but then she didn't want to. She was taking care of her mother, and that's just another story. But I mean, it's like it's very, very difficult. I mean, some studios are like 2 grand a
Ooh,
month. Yeah, but I would like to find a senior place, but unfortunately, the senior places, especially on the windward side, there's a waiting list of 3, 4, 5 years, believe it or not.
wow,
Yeah,
wow, damn.
yeah. So we shall see. All I can do is pray like I did before.
Yeah,
It always
yeah,
works.
yeah. Well,
It does.
let's go back to the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Actually, I wasn't, but that's what I always tell everyone now. I don't even tell them where I actually, it was Nassau, the Bahamas, but I always say Pittsburgh because they go, what? And I wasn't there that long anyway. So, but it just sounded more
Ah,
exotic. It sounded more exotic at the time when people asked me that. But it was Pennsylvania in the Pittsburgh area.
in the
That's
Pittsburgh
where I was
area.
at most of my life until, hmm, well, when I got married, I was, this is funny. When I got married, my husband, he was from the town called Beaver, and it's in
Hmm.
Beaver Valley. Beaver Valley had Beaver Falls, Beaver, Swickley, Aliquippa, and that's where I lived at in Aliquippa. That's
Ah.
Henry Mancini's home.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Joe Namath also. I'm trying to
Oh.
think who else was from Aliquippa. It was a little steel town. Used to be. Not so
What
much. Everything is like,
what was your childhood like in the when you were living in Pittsburgh? What was life like? What was the town like?
okay, what age are you talking about?
Any age. When you were a young girl. When you were
I mean, no, I went to school. From high school, I went to junior college. I took a couple courses, couple semesters, and then I decided I met somebody.
Mhm.
Um, well, actually, he was a high school sweetheart, and I got married. And at that time, they were doing the draft, and he got drafted and got sent to Panama. Yeah, Panama. And at that time, the family could not go. The wives couldn't go. And when he was gone, then I was out with my girlfriends, and then I met my second husband. Seriously, I
Was
did.
there a bit there was a bit of an overlap there?
Well, what happened was that's when I met him, but we actually didn't marry until after I was divorced, and it was a couple years afterwards. And I made up my mind if that's what I really wanted to do. Then it turned out that he really was the love of my life. But then high school was just plain old high school. It was like I wasn't crazy about high school at all. It was like, in fact, I actually started dancing when the first husband, was in Panama. I was out with my girlfriends. We were at a bar. They had a, they were having this dance contest, And I said, I could dance better than that. And at that time I was drinking and I wasn't supposed to be. I think I was like 19 or 20, maybe 20. I think I was 20, but not
Mm.
quite old enough to drink, but I was anyway with these other girls I was with. And anyway, I danced and I won that contest. And that's actually how I got into dancing to begin with. But I've always danced. I've had ballet, tap. I took that like when I was a kid, really a kid. And so that's kind of like, I always liked to dance. I was
Mm.
always dancing, like in high school, all the, dances that we had. And that was a lot of fun. But that's actually how I started. And when I won that contest, then the guy they had, it was a go-go place, and he asked me if I wanted to dance, and I said, "Oh no, no, I can't do that." Blah blah blah. And then it was funny. He gave me his number, and I think it was maybe about a month later, and I said I should try this, and I didn't tell anybody, any of my girlfriends or anything, no one. And I went all by myself, and I danced, and then he told me how much money, measly $75. That was, but I said $75. That's pretty good, you know.
Uh-huh.
It was for back then for, and had two piece. But then they brought in other burlesque dancers, and then I decided that's really what I want to do. That's
Mm.
but then it would have to be topless, and at that time they still wore the it wasn't the I guess they called them T-bars then, that you were, your butt was almost covered but you were completely covered in the front,
Mm.
but it wasn't not like a G-string. It wasn't a G-string. You were really covered in the back. Half your butt was not out hardly at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you were top, and you had your top on. You didn't take
Yeah.
your top off. But then, okay, it changed, and then the money went up, and then tipping went up at certain places. Not everywhere, not every place tipped. And so then I decided I wanted to do that. And this happened all in a matter of probably a year. I like really, really, and I was working as a nurse's aide, certified nurse's aide then also.
Mm.
And trying to think how, anyway, the name of that place I remember was the Go-Go Lounge in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. And they brought in, that's where I met, oh shoot. See, now this is what I'm talking about forgetting things.
It's all good. Take your time.
They had a coffin and everything. And well, she kind of befriended me, and she kind of, and she also had a fire act, I think. I hope that was her. But anyway, because she showed me some things with fire, but down through the ages, a couple other people, dancers, they showed me how to, with the fire, the twirling and the blowing the fire and all that. That all
Yeah.
came from other. These weren't famous people. It's funny. I didn't. A lot of the people that I met and read about was after I came back to Behoff, because when I was out there on the road, I mean, there, where I was working, there just weren't any big, like, I think the biggest star that I worked with was when I was here in Hawaii, and I worked
Hmm.
with Gina Bonbon came.
Oh, yeah.
Gina, okay, and Gina really, she's the one that told me about a lot of people, this and that, and blah blah blah, and because I just wasn't aware, most of the places I worked, they were like small town places, you
Hmm.
know, and I mean that's probably why I'm really not well known, because, and I didn't work that long when I was out on the road. I would go out for two, and then that was when, like, then I got married. Okay. And then when I did go, it was like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks at a time. Then I'd get tired and I'd come back home again. And then I'd get bored again with her. and then I would go back out again. I'm trying to think the name of the agents that I had.
When you were performing, can you walk me through a standard usual night for you? Was there a dressing room? You got ready? Were there other girls there? How long were the acts? What was the system like?
When I first got started, it was We always had a dressing room. It was usually small, and there was always between 2 and 4 other girls. And once we started performing, say if we started like at 8 or 9 o'clock, I think it was usually like about 8. Bars closed at 2 o'clock, and it was like one after another. If there was that many girls, we're doing 4 songs each, and then it would just be continuous all night long. We would be doing just dancing our little butts off. We all had great bodies though because we would dance so much.
Were you performing to records, or was there a band, or what was the?
We started off. It was cassette tapes. Had. And then I think it went to CDs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it went. I'm trying to think I think the last time at that time, I think it was like CDs. Oh, I don't know. We had the jukebox too.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of the places. The girls requested songs, and they would put those songs on, and then they would play. And they had the quarters that they put nail polish on, so they could get use the quarters over and over again from the jukebox. That was funny. I remember that.
That was a trick. That was a trick for the coins to come back out.
Yeah, well, so we could use them over and over again. So those are the ones. Apparently, they must have had. I don't know. I think maybe some of them own their jukeboxes, but so they would keep the ones that the performers were using, and then the other ones, I guess, that would just go to the house, whoever owned the jukebox, I guess. But then with the cassettes, that was easy because we just we had the cassettes, the music right there. That was no problem. And then with the jukebox, you had to kind of like put the songs in at a certain order for them to come up with that order. And then I remember sometimes they don't, and then the wrong song comes up, and it would be so funny because then they'd have to they start over again. And
so a lot of these are very short songs too. So how long were these acts? Were they
back then the songs were like maybe 3.5 minutes, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about like maybe 10 minutes on stage, 12 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
Just back to back to back. What were some of your favorite songs to dance to, or favorite musicians to dance to?
Miami Sound Machine. I did a lot of their songs. I liked when I first started. It was like the Drifters.
But a little bit more slow, or did you want something a little bit? You wanted more.
I was always, and I still, notice, I'm still moving fast. Probably not now. Yeah, probably not now. I haven't danced since the last time I was since Colorado Burlesque Festival. That was the last one I did.
That was a year ago. Yeah.
It was a year ago, like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my music
now you're picking your songs now.
Oh yeah, well, because it's like full kind of shows. But it's funny though, because we only do the one show. That was the most difficult thing the first time when I when I performed at Beehoff. That was, I said, was just one. I mean, but I had known before because I had started going, and I think in 2018, and I could see what music and the length of the songs, except there would be a few performers that did longer, much but most of them, it was the one song, but it was just once. I don't know. To me, that was just like the hardest thing in the world to get everything off. For one song in a 4 minute, it was like 4.5 minutes. That's about I think as long as we were allowed to do. Sometimes I think it was almost 5. I've noticed some of the performers, but most of the time it was 4, and that was like the hardest thing. And I said, "What?" I said, "How can you do a show?" And it was hard. It was hard for me because it was like I was concentrating more on getting my clothes off, doing the reveal, and then my dancing. To me, it was like my dancing and more or less dancing to the audience. That was most important to me. And then it would, I don't know, I was having trouble doing the two, getting my clothes off and paying attention to the audience.
These clubs and places, were you performing largely for mixed audiences or black audiences or white audiences? Was there a specific vibe?
Okay, all the places that I worked at, well, very, very seldom
Hmm.
did I work in a place, a black place, because first of all, there just weren't that many of them.
Hmm.
Okay, and they couldn't pay as well as the other clubs, the white clubs could. And most of the time, because of the music that I played, um, I don't like a lot of slow music. Oh, that's it. And I to perform, and I still don't unless it's, I don't know. I can't even remember anything slow that I really danced to. Well, that's not true. When I first started, because we always ended up, the next to the last song was always like floor work, and so we would
Hmm.
do floor work, and that would be kind of slow, and then the last song would be an upbeat song again. For me, that's the way I always did all my, when I had to do like four, when I did like regular shows, they were like 5, 6 songs long.
Hmm.
That's when I actually went into burlesque when I was on the road. That's, it was like 5 or 6 or 4 or 5, but always real upbeat. But I always used the music. I don't know. I like these songs from the white performers. I think what happened was because I worked in these clubs and I heard this music, and I said, yeah, that's a song that I could dance to. Like, remember White Snake, that
I
group?
do. I do.
There were songs, I can't remember the name, but there was a couple of their songs, and I mean, it's when you're sitting there listening to the other girls' music, and you're going, yeah, I like that group, and then I'd go and I'd buy the album.
Uh-huh.
At that time it was albums. It
Uh-huh.
was it was I don't know if it was CDs or, but anyway, yeah.
Haven Records, yeah.
But and I just got to, I was like, I preferred that type of music, and that's correct. I mean, not that I didn't use any black artists, because I did.
Hmm.
Like Rick James, I know I used him a lot. I
Hmm.
can't think of anybody else right off the bat, but I mean, I did. But there was a lot of my music. It kind of like, I don't know. It was like white performers, and I worked in these white clubs, and they kind of liked it, and so that I continued to, to use it. But I enjoyed dancing to it all.
Were you one of the few black performers in your groups of folks, or were there
There
was
were
the
not any. If I worked at a club, I was with other. I was the only black. Always,
Mm.
always. There was. I can remember 2 places I worked in. State College, PA, at a club called My Oh My. That was Jack Sapien's place. He's gone now. He was a real good friend of, what was that famous, their coach, Penn State's coach. I can't think of his name, but he was real good friends of, and he came in. Then he got in trouble right before. Yeah, he did something or other. They did, the coach did it. Anyway, that's another story. His club was called the My Oh My, and it was in State College, College Town, Penn State. That's Penn State's campus.
Yeah.
But I had so much fun up there. I had, in fact, that's where I really, really had and met a lot of gay friends, because one side of the bar there was like a curtain. It was so funny. One side of the bar, that's where the gay, it was gay. The other side, it was, straight. Just
Hmm.
that one little curtain. I mean, and everybody kept going back and forth anyway. It was so silly. But I was practically always on the gay side, because I just had more fun over there. And then
Hmm.
the straight side, it was mostly all men to begin
Oh,
with. Nothing like it is now. And that's why I just love it now, because there's so many women out there. And I get to talk to the women, and they appreciate what you're doing. And it's just, and that's where I had my first gay encounter too, come to think of it.
your first gay encounter. What was that like?
Yeah. I met a lovely girl, and I was more or less, what happened. I was experimenting, but I liked her, and she liked me.
Yeah.
So we experimented, and that was like first and last time. It was only the one time that was. I don't know. I said, okay, yeah. I said, no, I think I like guys better though.
It happens. None of us are
Yeah,
perfect.
but it's just that the friends that I met up there, they helped me with, like, I'm trying to think what show. The country western show. Some of the songs that I used for the country western song, the nurse show, but I really didn't develop that much there. But the music I had good ideas for. But yeah, I had, and then those are the shows that I did until I retired. And yeah.
Well, roughly how many costumes did you have like in rotation?
Fire show, country western show, Latin show, country western, fire, nurse show. I think about six. I
About
think
six.
I think there were 6 shows that I just did, but I mean, it's kind of like depending on where I went, like because of the way that I went when I went on the road, it wasn't that often, so it was like real easy every time. When I would go somewhere, I would have a new, something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different.
How did you travel with your costumes? Were they in garment bags? Did you?
Okay,
What was the?
they were, yeah, in garment, but I had no, it wasn't like I drove. I worked up and down the East Coast. As far to the Midwest. I think I went to Peoria, Illinois, Manhattan, Kansas. That's another college town, and that's about as far west I think as I went. And I worked. It was like Indiana, Peoria, Illinois, Manhattan, Kansas, and then the rest was definitely the East Coast. It was like Corning, New York, Syracuse, New York, New Bedford, Massachusetts. I drove most of those places. When I went to Peoria, I drove there also. Manhattan, Kansas, I decided not to because that was a little bit further. So I actually took a bus from Pennsylvania to there. I did just to see most of the country, but everything was it's like flat once you get to Ohio. It's nothing,
Yeah.
Now, if I had gone more further west, I really would have loved that. My husband and we took a 4-month trip. We had a motorhome, and that's when I really saw most of the western part of the United States, and I loved it. God, the desert, the Grand Canyon, Petrified Forest, all the ghost towns, all the old gold towns. It was just great. I liked that part.
Were you largely traveling alone?
No, when I saw that was with my husband, my second husband.
Okay.
We had a motorhome, and we took a 4-4 month trip. He took off he was a mechanic, and he had a 4-bay garage, and he made a big mistake of going under this truck without the safety jacks, and the main jack, for some reason, it just gave way and it severed his aorta, and he was dead. And we had been married for 17 years. And then that happened. And that's actually how I got over here to Hawaii. We had been over here a couple of times, and I had called friends to tell them about my husband's death. And they said, why don't you come over and stay, for a while? So I came over, and I think I stayed for like 2.5 months. And then I had to go back because of the house and things I had to take care of. And then I decided that I wanted to be over here. Then there was an agent over here in Hawaii. Then he booked me over here. That's how I got to meet Gina.
Okay. So what year roughly was this? This was
1987.
87.
86, 87. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, this is Victor Devon, and you're listening to We Were List, the podcast, and I love you for it. I gotta tell you, this is still one of my very favorite things to do. I'm very happy, very proud, very honored that people download this and listen to me and a bunch of folks talk about why we love what we do. It's really great. It really, really is. And I want to give a special love to the patrons on patreon.com. Give it up for Melody, Devin, JaCourtney, Clara, Dottie, Charlotte, Luna, Goosey, Roxy, Faye, Tiffany, Jimmy, Curly Bright, Oliver, Sebastian, Alex, Bo, and Stormageddon. I had to take a breath there, people. It's really lovely. It really is really, really, really lovely. I think it's so difficult to dedicate time and make shit happen, but I'm working on it. I'm trying. Goodness gracious. Please know that you mean the world to me. And if you would like to support me in any other way that is not money, please follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, do those things, and I won't charge you for it. It'll get me further out there, and more importantly, it'll get these people that I bring onto this show further out there as well. So, mwah, be well, darlings. So you had also been performing in places like Puerto Rico and Guam, right? You had managed to make yourself.
I did. Yeah, the agent, I had that same agent that was here in Hawaii. He booked me in Guam, and a different one in Puerto Rico, actually. In fact, I was asking Sweet Pea. She worked in Puerto Rico not too long ago. Well, I don't know if she works. I think she just went. But I asked her, was the what was it? The San Juan Hotel still? Yeah, that's the name of it. It's the San Juan Hotel. Do they still have burlesque? And she said, I don't think so, because she would have when she was there. Yeah, but that was where I worked at. That was great. I remember that beautiful. I can't remember the name of the fort. There's a fort down there that's just on one end of this island that's just absolutely gorgeous. I love ancient structures.
Okay.
I just really, yeah. Oh, which reminds me. Oh, I have to record that. On National Geographic, they're doing a special on Pompeii and Herculaneum.
Oh.
I forgot about that. I was supposed to set that up to record.
Okay.
It's Saturday night. I remember, but it's a series. It'll go on, and yeah.
Oh, that's the one that Tom Hiddleston, I think, is doing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Is. Yeah.
Have you always been interested in history? Was that something
history,
that you looked at?
No, always. I was supposed to go to Machu Picchu, and when it was like in the late 70s, and my girlfriend and I, we were going to go.
Yeah.
And no one in my family wanted me to go, but that's not why we didn't go. With the State Department, they declared they were having some kind of a coup of this group. They were guerrillas out in the, I don't know, hillside or something, called the White Warriors, which I thought was funny because first they called them guerrillas, but they mean guerrillas like in the, not the animals.
Yeah, GU.
Okay, yeah. And so it was canceled. We actually had plans, and then I don't know, we just never did it. Then that girl, my girlfriend, she moved, and that was something that I really wanted to do. And I don't think I'll be able to do it now. In fact, there's too many tourists that are going right now. They're talking about shutting it down for a while. Apparently the tourists are doing things like they always do. Right on the walls, say like, hey, Nancy, I was here, or so and so, in the date. Who the heck cares? Isn't that a terrible thing to do?
Yes. We are an entitled species.
I'm telling you, I'm honest to goodness. Like some of the tourists here, what they do. Did you see the thing, that idiot with the monk seal?
No.
Some idiot was here. He was from California, but he had some kind of a business here, not scuba, but something like that, with diving equipment. I don't know, but he wasn't here all the time. He had somebody else taking care of it. Anyway, he was with his wife on the beach. I think this happened on Maui, and there was a monk seal in the water. He picked up a big rock that was right by the shore, and he threw it, and he hit the seal, and he didn't injure it, but it was filmed. The people were on the beach, and some girl, she filmed it, and you could hear her yelling, "Hey, what are you doing?" Then he turned around and he said something. I think she said something to the effect of, you can get fined for that. And he made this statement. He says, I'm wealthy enough, I can pay for the fine. He actually said that. It's on her. Yeah. Well,
that's when you start cutting off people's thumbs. Like,
well, what
That's
happened when he started going back to his hotel. Two locals beat the crap out of him for one thing, but then he got arrested, and then he went home to California and he got extradited back here. This was a couple weeks ago, and I don't know what happened. I think because our court system is so slow here, he probably has to go to court, or I don't even know what happened after that. But I'm just glad he got two locals beat the crap out of him anyway, just for making that statement. We don't really tolerate. You know what? People in general don't anymore tolerate hurting animals. I mean, an animal is an animal. Unless you were in the ocean and a shark's going to bite you, that's different. Then you put up a fight, or you.
yeah.
I mean,
You still came into their backyard, but yes.
right. But he wasn't even in the water. He
I
was on the
know.
shore. He
I
was on
know.
this, and that's what made it so bad. If you Google that,
Mm,
in and it'll come up, and you'll see, and he's a big
mm.
guy too. It was like, and everybody was. There was like two or three people that were like yelling and screaming at him, and but at least and that was on the nightly news
Mm.
on like all the stations. And when they extradited him back here to Hawaii, that was on the news also. And he still kind of had. Well, he tried to say, yeah, haha. He tried to say that he thought the seal was going to do something to somebody, so that's why he threw a rock at it, which makes no sense.
Um,
That was,
no, no,
yeah,
that's just covering.
no,
That's just covering.
no. But
Yeah.
but it's because of what he said afterwards. I'm wealthy enough to I can pay a fine. Well, what's that tell you?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you consider
So
yourself a Hawaiian by virtue of you living there now? Are
I'm
you
I'm
immersed?
I do not consider myself a Hawaiian. I consider myself a Kama'aina because I have been here for almost 40 years now, and that's another word for a local, but not Hawaiian.
Ah,
Definitely,
yes.
definitely not Hawaiian because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
Hawaiian. You know,
Right,
I'm
right.
not. I'm the word Holly. They refer to that usually as a white person, but the term is outsider. It's somebody that's not
Um,
from Hawaii, but that doesn't pertain to me anyway. There's another word for black people, and that's propolo. And what that
okay.
is, it's a dark purple flower. Which because the first time I heard the word holly, this is I mean when holly when I was first when I was performing here, and I heard a guy call another one, and the guy I was sitting with, I said, "Okay, well, there's got to be a word for black people too," and that's when he told me it was popolo, and I said, "Okay." I said, "What's that mean?" And he said, "Purple flower," and I said, "Oh, that's nice."
Absolutely one of the nicer variants.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
When you were performing and going to all of these locations, were you booked for a specific act or were you asked to just bring something?
No, when they don't. That's not how they did it. The agency would, get in touch with them, or that's usually the way it was with me because I wasn't like really super duper well known, except in the maybe in the Pennsylvania area. I was, but up and down the East Coast, no. That was they would call, they would send pictures, um, or I fax pictures. Things were different back then. I think they went by
Hmm.
your pictures, and yeah, and because there wasn't a whole lot of publicity shots. You know what I mean? There was like I don't know. They would go by acts. Definitely with me they did, but it was I don't know. They did no. It was like you go and they the way it was how many the shows that you did and the money. That's what it was.
Hmm.
It was money. And back then, usually working on the road, it was like usually $500-600 a week
Mm.
for 5 days.
I was talking to Aquarius Moon, who put together the Everybody Wants to Be a Showgirl, which largely talks about like the Black history of burlesque.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of when we look at the data or the content, we see like these 8 by 10 publicity photos every once in a
yeah,
while with like the beautiful, beautiful person and then their name, but that's sometimes all we see. That's sometimes all we ever see. We don't learn a lot about like their history or their bio or like
no,
some of these folks we're still trying to
no,
find out.
yeah.
When you were doing these publicity photos, um, were they for you to send to agencies? Where did you do
The agency had the agency had the pictures, and then they would send out. But it was the agency. The agent is the one that built you up.
Mm-hmm.
That he would call and say, I have a girl, blah blah blah, and she does this, dot 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 dot. That's how it would go down. Now, if they wanted pictures, then I guess they would. I don't know if they faxed them. I don't know how they sent them, or through the mail or whatever. I don't know. Bookings
Courier
were usually
somehow.
done. I mean, like a month in advance or something like that. You would, yeah.
Was that a fun experience posing for those things? Because I've seen some of your publicity shots, and you look gorgeous, but you also look very comfortable in your skin there, in these standing there in your under things.
The black and whites, they were taken off Gene Laverne in Buffalo, New York. He's a famous photographer. There's a lot of
Hmm.
the they took a lot. And that's where he was the first one that took pictures. And then there was another one, but all my black and white, those were like my publicity shots. Those are the
Hmm.
ones that they sent that I got jobs from. The ones that were in color, that was later. That was like what? I guess I don't know. But the ones that were in color, those were not. I think I just had somebody take those at a club that I was working or something like that, and then we
Hmm.
just printed them. We printed them up. The black and white ones are the ones, the professional ones that are the good ones. That's the way it was, like when I was performing. The other ones are the ones in color. They're nice. I like them, but they're that's
They're a different vibe. The photos of you
exactly
like with the
absolutely
fire and the animal print.
exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and that do you what is your hair? Is that a wig? Is that a hair a headpiece?
I
What's going on?
always, I always wore wigs. Always. My hair is
Mm,
down the. In fact, I can wiggle now. I still. My hair is down to my shoulders, but I always wore wigs because I could change the hairstyle. I could change the color. It
of
was always
course.
easier. My regular hair. That means I would have to curl it. I'd have to wave it. That takes time, and who has time, especially when if you're working on the road,
Hmm.
even if you're home, it's just easier with the wig. I mean, black hair takes a lot to get it together. Let's face
Mm,
it, it does. And if it's long, and mine
hmm.
like it is now, but in fact, I cut it the other day, but it's still like shoulder length because I pull it back and it's on top of my head. I have a ponytail. Just easier, and it's been so humid. It's never humid here because the trade winds usually blow. For
Mm.
some reason, the trade winds have the weather is changing. It's just changing. Period. It's usually our summers are like anywhere from like 87, 88, 89, but we don't have humidity. The trade winds are blowing. The last 3 4 years, the trade winds are not blowing like they used to, and we're going up to like 91, whatever. It's
When
yeah.
did you adopt the name Shauna? Was that early? Was that immediately?
When I first started, when I was doing go-go dancing, I had the name Dee Dee Shore because
Dee
my real
Dee.
name is Daryl. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and everyone called me Dee Dee to begin with. So I just, and it was funny. The last name Shore. It's really funny how I got that name. I
Uh-huh.
got my mother's best girlfriend, Barbara Shore. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, I used to babysit for her son, I think, or daughter. I can't remember. But her son, his name, he's famous now. He's a famous composer, Howard Shore.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I think he did music for, I think he did Lord of the Rings
Yes.
for one thing, and then something, I think he did,
He's done
uh,
a bunch. He did
but
Fly, he
but
did video, yeah, he's done a
yeah,
bunch.
but he's done it. But anyway, the point, what that was later on. I didn't even know, he was a composer. That was later on in the years.
Uh-huh.
But then, I mean, but I always liked the last name Shore because I always had, just lots of fun with them. When they invited us over for like barbecue, this is when we were kids.
Hmm.
This is high school. This is high school, and that's why I just had that. I like the last name Shore, and so that's why Dee Dee Shore. But then when I started burlesque and I had to do the pictures, that's when I changed it. I always like the name Sean, and I put an A on the end to make it sound more feminine, Shawna. And then somebody, what my friend and Michael in State College, he said to add the Black Venus. And it was funny because I remember, why do I have to say black? You know, things were still kind of, you know what I mean? When it's black, I don't know why I felt that way. I shouldn't have. I should have been really proud about it. But at that time, I guess I was kind of But anyway, so that's how the Black Venus came upon. That was actually, and I said, yeah, I do like that. Come to think of
Mm-hmm. It's distinctive, certainly. I mean, it
Yeah.
does sort of indicate also because you were um, stacked too. Like you had this fabulous body, working it and moving it and go-going. I mean, when you
Yeah.
were when you were working, and you did multiple performances a night, you said, right? Very frequently.
Yes. Yes.
It was the same act over and over again, or did you shift,
Oh, no,
do
no, no,
different?
no,
Okay.
no. They were all different. One time it would be one. The fire show would always be the last one, though. Yeah, the fire show would always, because
And
it
that
was like
outfit that was photographed, that was what you wore for the fire, the that zebra.
that was yes, yeah,
Where
but
did
not
you? Yeah.
all of that. Not I would sometimes depending on where I was at because sometimes I would not wear the cape that went with that. Sometimes
Okay.
there was like another like black sheer thing that I would wear, but the other pieces would be the same. The headdress would be the same. It's just that some of the places I work, I couldn't twirl the cape around. It just wasn't. There were things like on the stage or whatever, or the stage wasn't large enough,
Hmm.
you know, to do that. So yeah, it wasn't. When I came over to Hawaii, it was okay over here until right before I retired, and I couldn't use the capes. The stages were just too. Stages were like what 10 by 8, something like that. Just too much too small. And over here, when we got over here, we were doing like shows, but not shows almost like burlesque because you had to do. Well, you were doing like 3 or 4 songs, but I don't know. It was just different over here.
When you were doing the fire show, you were lighting these sticks in during the act, right? You didn't come out with them, so you had to twirl your and you had to.
No, the way that show when I had all like the cape, all that comes off. The only thing that was on then would be the G string and the pasties. The pasties they had hooks on them like they have now, but I could take them off because I twirl tassels first, and
Hmm.
I had already set up with somebody to light my tassel, like the one, and I would twirl the one first, and
Hmm.
um, then I'd twirl, and then I would take because we had to leave the pasties on. So then I would take the pasties off because then I would use the torches. Then I would take the torch, and I had this container that had the fuel in it, and I would dip the torches in and squeeze a little bit of the fuel out because I didn't want them sopping wet. Then I
Hmm.
get someone to light the torch, and then I would do just the rest of the show. And that show would end up.
Never anything scary with the fire, right? Your everything was always good.
Oh, you mean like if I've gotten burned? When I first started twirling, there was one time I didn't squeeze out enough of the fuel from the tassels, and it popped up against my boob, and and I got burned about the size of a half dollar, I guess, silver. It was a good
Mm.
size burn, yeah. And then after that, I never got burned again. Not really, not
Mm.
I mean, it's my body. I was accustomed to the heat, expect because I would put the torches on my body. I'd light from a flame from the hand to the arm, to the knee, to the butt. On the butt, it was yeah. One time though, when I blew fire, I wasn't paying attention, I guess, like I should have, or else I blew too hard. I could never figure out what I did that time, and I blew the fire on my hand, my thumb and
Mm.
my index finger, and I went doggone it because you have the torch in that hand, and you have the container that you take a mouthful of the fuel and you blow it, you spit it out, and I aimed wrong, And that's those 2 times I did get burned, but not bad. It was, well, blistered, but wasn't too bad. It was, I wasn't about to stop because that was, everybody really liked that show, and I got good money for that and tips for that.
Like that.
So
You work through it. You just buy some extra salve and you work through it.
yeah, I did. And I think the most embarrassing thing with that was I had to, for the breasts, I had to go to the doctor because I was putting an antibiotic or something on it, and it wasn't healing right. And then I found out they should have got that silver sulfidine. That's it's just great. The same thing they gave me actually for my burns for radiation, and it heals it like in 2 days. It's amazing. They still use this, But yeah, I had to go to the doctor, and then the doctor goes, "What happened?" Because he didn't know that I was, and then I had to tell him. And he said, "Oh, that's just great." And it's so funny how some people, when they, when you tell them you're burlesque, and they get all excited and blah blah blah, and yeah. and this was like in the 70s, early 70s. No, that was mid 70s, I think. By then, yeah, I think that's when I started, in mid 70s.
Wow.
Might have been even later than that.
When you were doing these things, did you have the sense of keeping mementos from your travel? Did you have a scrapbook, or was this just like a work to work to work sort of situation? Did you maintain a collection?
I did some of it, not all the time. Um, yeah, not really. It's funny. You say that because I was looking at something to, if I had, for everyone who wants to be a showgirl, they're going to do something about like my life, and she said they wanted to start from when I was a kid, and I said, I don't think I have that many pictures. I really don't. But I mean, I had some. My family has, I think, most of them. I think, yeah. And so, but I found a couple that it's so funny. Oh my goodness, it's so funny. I had this. I must have been like 5 or 6. And then there's one where my mother's holding me. That was the youngest one. And I think what they're going to do, I sent them to Twirl, and I guess they'll, how do they cut them down or whatever, or the other people out? What's that called? I don't know what that's, when you have a photograph and you just want the one person or the one Photoshop crop. And they said they're going to
they cropped it.
do that. I did that yesterday. In fact, they cropped it. Yeah, thank you. That's the word. And I have to, in fact, that's what I have to do today. I'm going to send them one of my dresses. In fact, I'm going to, the very first one that I used on Beehoff, first time I went, I'm going to send that to them. Yeah, I have to do that because they're going to do I think they're doing a big thing in Indianapolis.
Yeah, they're going to do a little retrospective, because I think you were probably one of the more surprised individuals to find out that this was all still going on, that all the burlesque was still going on, and because you had retired in '94, right?
I had no idea, and I mean, I have been since. I've always kept in touch with Gina, still do all the time, And I know, and she kept telling me, you should go, and I think she was asking me like 3, 4 years, okay, that she. And I said, no, I will, and I just kept putting it off, but I had no idea what it was like or anything. And she just kept telling it was just so much fun, and you'll see all the great acts and see the act. That's what I really enjoy about Beehoff. I enjoy just sitting there and seeing these absolute magnificent interpretations of all these ideas. I almost fell off my chair when I can't remember the girl that did the Abominable Snowman. I said, who would ever think about doing an act about the Abominable Snowman? And it was
Tiger Bay. Yeah.
It was, yeah. And then I think I worked with her when I did Asheville. That's like the best, that festival, Land of the Sky.
Yeah.
That festival is absolutely, everyone was just so great. And where I stayed at, it was like a cabin, and it was like out in the country. It was just beautiful in the mountains. It was like I had not realized how much I had missed Pennsylvania or seeing the mountains, those mountains, they're different. Here I could look at the mountains all the time. Where I
Of
live,
course.
I look out my bedroom window. They're there. I look in the front, but I mean these mountains are different than on the mainland. They're they're just, well, they're from lava.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it was anyway.
Yeah. Well, so when you were asked to come back, what did it take to convince you to return to the stage to
Well, I hadn't
perform?
even thought about it. I was just going because Gina said, she says you have to go, and so, but when I went, Sweet Pea, she was, in charge of the legends, and she said all you do is just walk across the stage, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just overwhelmed, but it was happy. It was a
Yeah.
happy overwhelm. It was like I was just thrilled to be there. I mean, everyone, there were so many people that came up to me, especially, I mean, Black performers, and said,
Hmm.
"We are so happy that you're here, and thank you for what you were doing." And I think the first time it happened, I said, "Well, what did I do?" You know what? I mean, I actually had to think about that, but just the fact that I was out there performing, and
Yeah.
they were so that and I never thought about it that way. It was like it was just great. It was that first year I went to Beehoff. It was just wonderful, and I'm going every year except for this past year. Couldn't go.
Hmm.
Bummer.
We'll get you back. We'll get you back.
Bummer. Bummer. If
Yeah.
everything is okay health wise, I will be going, but I know I won't be performing. Um, I'm not next year anyway. When I go, I'll just be going, and hopefully they'll ask me to do the walk, and that would probably. But performing, no, I know can't do that. I have to. I have to train my boob again.
Mm.
If it's at all possible, and I'm not even sure if it is, to tell you the truth.
I find that you'll be able to adapt. I
Well,
think
yeah, well,
you'll,
I'll have to. I will. I mean, I
yeah.
will have to adapt. But the point of, I mean, it was like twirling, the stopping the one, doing the other. That was like my trademark thing that I would, that I been doing since I've been performing at Beehoff.
Yeah.
That was always, because I can't do my country western. Because I dance country western, I'd have a heart attack if I did that now. The nurse show, I had like a 6 foot, looks like a big Cabbage Patch doll. That was a male. That was the patient. That was funny. The last song for that show was, I throw a sheet. It was floor work. I'd throw a sheet over the dummy, put him on top of me, and then did the song "Great Balls of Fire" and would throw him up in the air like he was screwing me. It was so funny. Can't do any of that. I told
Uh,
Sweetie that, and she says, "Oh, we could probably get a big Cabbage Patch doll."
I know some volunteers. I know some folks who would say,
Yeah, that was, but I mean, I can't do the Latin show. I love that one because I did like the rumba, the cha-cha, and all, but everything was like up, fast pace,
hmm.
and it's like that's been my biggest thing right now, to do, to just slow down. What but I kind of, I have slowed down. I'm trying to think the last two songs. I started off with what, Rhapsody in Blue,
Uh-huh.
and then good as it goes, good as it gets. Good, I forget the name of the song now, but it was like an upbeat song, but it was still like mediocre speed. It wasn't like Miami Sound Machine,
Uh-huh.
which I just
Wasn't quite
absolutely,
not quite
yeah,
the conga. Yeah.
yeah, loved doing it. That was like, oh, out of this world. And then what was it? The Fire Show was African music,
Okay.
and then the last show I did at Beehoff, I switched. That was like African music, and that's what I heard when I heard my knee. That was really, uh that was terrible. I hurt my knee trying to do African, and I should have known. And then the next night, when it was the 70s dress.
Hmm.
Remember, everybody
Hmm.
dressed like the
Hmm.
70s, and
Disco
I had,
70s beach what was it? 70s sleepover.
yeah, yeah, and I had that big pink Afro wig, And the dress that I had on, I had bought this dress and it had like groovy on it and all this stuff, but it was completely covered with rhinestones. I put stuff all over, front and back and everything. It was really great. And then I had these go-go boots that I decorated like crazy, and I couldn't even I couldn't wear them because my knee was so goofed up. And then, who was it? Somebody gave me their, oh shoot, memory, their cane to use that night. And I went to the performance, but I couldn't, I was so disappointed that I couldn't wear the boots and everything, but it's fun. I had the wig, but it was fun.
Yeah.
That was the last, yeah.
What is it like?
But that dance that I did, that was the African outfit. That's put a lot of time into that costume.
That was all you, right? Or did you commission?
Oh, there's a girl here, Rose, a friend of Cat Wings. She introduced me to a couple years ago, and I would usually have ideas. That one she actually made. She did the skirt. I did all the embellishing, and she did the sewing. She sews real fast. She's an accountant, but her mother was a designer for Disney, and she started helping her mother with her sewing at home. And then when she was in school, her second thing in school was designing, and she sews like a son of a gun. I've never seen anybody. Have you ever seen anybody stand up sewing? She stands up and leans on. Yeah, she does. She stands up with her sewing machine and she puts her arm. She had like 4 books, and she'd have one arm resting on the books and the other arm holding the material, and she'd be standing up. Yeah, she still sews like that. But anyway, she helped a great deal. She did that costume and I did the embellishing.
Hey, this is Victor Devon, and I like socks. I've always been very open about my appreciation for the fabric that goes on my feet, and I want you to enjoy them too. Please go to footclothes.com, look at the variety of fabulous novelty socks that do not suck, and indulge. You can get 10% off now with the name Victor Devon as a promo code. That's VIKTORDEVONNE. Put it all together, no spaces, and enjoy. I'm Victor Devon.
I'm Petra Fried.
And this is Tonight
on Murder, She Wrote.
I live for this moment where Jessica says, the decor of this room reminds me of something, but I'm not sure what.
Baby, if this isn't Captain Hook's boudoir, I don't know what it is.
He's kind of giving, like... Bulldog bear? Like, I know this guy.
Like, even like the cut-off shirt, like the sleeves that are cut off on his shirt.
Yes, especially the cut-off shirt.
He's going to cruise in a few minutes.
He has to pick up his harness for Folsom.
That's right. The Reverend showed up and he found her stabbed in the bed.
And bathed in this red Suspiria light.
I know. Red light special.
What is it like to return to the stage being called a legend?
Oh, that was incredible for me. It was like, I was going, am I a legend? Am I really? Because I was looking at it from this point of view. I hadn't been out on the road. I didn't work at like some of the other girls, like Gina or Tempest Storm. I worked with Tempest Storm. I worked with Gina. I worked with Hyapatia Lee. Did you ever hear of her?
Mm-mm.
That's somebody else. Look that one up.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
We met at a Sun Club in the Poconos, and that was the first. God, that was so much fun. I went one time, and then I told my husband, I said, "This is really nice." So we took the motor home, and it was so. I said, "I wonder if he's really going to take his clothes off. Is it really if he's or if he's going to stay in the motorhome." Oh my goodness gracious! My husband, he was the first one to take his clothes off and walk around with this little. You walk around with the towel, so you can sit on it wherever you sit, whatever. He
Yes.
was the first. I couldn't. I. That was incredible to me. Yeah, and that was a great. Wait a minute. Yeah, that was the first time. The second time was at Indianapolis. I'm trying to think of the name. Dick Dross. Dick Dross had this big. That's something else you can look up.
Okay.
Big contest, and they had Miss Nude America, Miss Nude Entertainer,
Yes.
Miss Nude, this blah blah blah. And my agent, he's the one that said, "You want to go there?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." And then that's another one. My husband, he went. I have some pictures, but there was a nude wedding. That's what it was. The agent, he got married there. They got married there. It was a nude wedding, and I was one of their bridesmaids. Yeah, I do have pictures of that. That was in that book, Cherry Magazine. Yeah, that was. I remember that now. Oh, things are
Ah.
coming back now that I'm talking about it.
What did the husband think about you dancing around?
The only thing that he requested, he knew that it made me happy. I loved to do it. Was he said, "Just come home," and I always did.
Oh,
When I do,
that's sweet.
the one night things. Most of the one night things were like almost an hour and a half away, driving, and I usually had to, like 2 hours before, 2 hours or an hour and a half coming back. I would get home sometimes 3:30, 4 in the morning. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the only thing. And he knew. I told him about what time I would get home. There was one time. Oh, listen to this. This is a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one time he always knew what time I got home, and I don't know if he actually, I don't know what he was doing, watching TV or up or whatever. When I got there, he was like half asleep, but I know he probably just went to bed. This one night, I was coming from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and I had this Jeep, and it was snowing, and that's why I had the Jeep. Oh, at that time he was selling cars. He was a car
Okay.
salesman. He would bring home different cars if it was snowing or whatever. If it was ice, I didn't go. You can't do anything on ice. But
Mm-mm.
snow, yeah. I mean, in Pennsylvania it snowed. So, but anyway, the Jeep, it broke down on this country road, and I had pulled over, and the car turned off. I couldn't turn it back on, and it was cold, and the windows started fogging up. I started getting cold, and I'm going, my God, what am I going to do now? Oh, and we didn't have cell phones then. They had no phone.
Mm-hmm.
That was when they first started with those great big phones that
Uh-huh.
looked like, yeah. I think he had one of those, but it's that was like you had to be close to wherever, I don't know. And what happened with it? I had my fire equipment in the car, the torches. I sat there. I burned the fuel that I used,
Wow.
isopropyl alcohol and lighter fluid, but just a little bit of the lighter fluid to make it an orange flame. But the isopropyl that worked cool with the cool flame, blue flame, and I poured it in the container, and I sat there, and then the windows really steamed up. And I think it's about an hour and a half, maybe almost 2 hours. And he showed up. He knew, which way he always knew the way that I would go to whatever job, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he was a mechanic, and and that was the one time that I broke down. He was there. Yeah. That
And he
was, that
just
was
knew to come to you.
just
He
because I
went
was,
looking. He
because
went
I
looking
was
for you.
because I wasn't home. Because I
Yeah.
wasn't home. Like I think he waited maybe 45 minutes, and he knew something was wrong, and he came. Yeah, that only happened like one time, but that was pretty. That was, yeah. That's something I'll always remember. Me sitting there with the torches in the car, and nobody came along because it was like what, after 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Like it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Yeah, it was a country road. That was. I was always taking these country roads because they were quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the places I worked at, actually, they were out in the country. They
Mm-hmm.
were, yeah, yeah.
Well, at least you had your fire act.
I know. I I had that with me because but he would have been there anyway, but still.
Oh,
So it was, I'll never forget that though. The windows were all fogged up and because I was, burning oh yeah, those are fun.
when you were nursing, you went into healthcare
Yeah.
specifically, right?
Yes.
What do you think led you to that path? Just
Nursing?
yeah, were you just a nurturer? Did you just want to help people? Was that just part of your
No, my mother was she was a certified nurse's aide, but she was also doing something in surgery. So I'm not sure what it was because it was like she got sick when I was in my, I think, junior year, no, sophomore year in high school. And then that's when she had to quit working. But I remember her going, and then I said, I decided I want, oh, and then I know what it was. Then when I was, okay, mom was working in the hospital. And then I decided I was a candy striper. And
okay?
then that's when I realized that I really, really liked doing, and I was just doing little things. I was just, you know, answering lights, and then telling the nurse what patient wanted, or they let me do the water pitchers. Um, it was just little things, but that's really when I decided that I liked healthcare, that I liked doing that. And then that's kind of like started me. I did that like almost all through high school. I think I started
Hmm.
that when I was right after, I don't know, I think I was like 13, 14 years old. Yeah. But that's actually when I started. And then after I got over here, um, I went to community college and I was accepted into the nursing program. And then I had a problem with the algebra, and it was solving problems for IV monitoring. You had to figure out if it was on time, ahead, or behind. Always had a problem with math, algebra,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
type. And that was algebra because it was a formula that you had to figure out to solve these problems. And at that time, they had like 5 tests, and you had to get 100% on all 5 tests. And I got to that was the fourth test, and I kept getting one wrong. And I took it like 3 times. And if you didn't get it right after that, you were out of the nursing program.
Wow. You had
Thank
to get
goodness
100%. Wow.
there was only like 10 questions on each test, so it wasn't that bad. But that part with the IV monitoring, when it came to the formulas, and I mean, it was a different test. All the three that I took, they let me do it 3 times, and they warned us that, that you had to get. And it was funny, the very first day of school, I'll never forget this. Um, this instructor came in and she announced, Mrs. Aoki, that was her name. I remember this, Aoki. Aoki. She said, half of you will not graduate. She actually said that. Everyone's going, what? What? And she was right. My girlfriend that I was real good friends with, she went on she graduated head of the class. She's still my best friend now, Judith,
Mm.
very much so. But I mean, she was like a whiz with, and I mean, I even had a tutor also because I knew, that I was going to have trouble with that. And when it just came to, I just did not test well in that.
Hmm.
And everything else about the nursing, everything was all A's, B's, all the tests, everything for the rest of the semester. And then I could not, yeah, and I, they will not let you go on. The next semester was meds, so I guess they'd stop me before you kill somebody. So,
Yes. Yes.
but it
So
just was meant to be. But then
that was it.
that's what
Ah.
I'm saying. I was out of the program, and but then what happened was I should have applied to one of the other schools here,
Mm.
but it was like 40,000 a year. It was a university, and I said no, no, I'm not going to do that. And then what happened was I met a social worker,
Hmm.
and she said I can give you some independent work, and that went on for like about 4 or 5 years. This independent work, working under the table. But then I also worked for an agency because that's where I got my benefits from. It's
Hmm.
always because because your clients, they're going to die,
Yeah.
so you always have at least one another agency that you would book you, that you'd have
Hmm.
work. And so that's kind of like I did that, but I didn't go back. I didn't try to get back to school. I should have, because then I wouldn't be in the position that I am now. Still working. I'm working as a CNA, and I'm working, and I am making decent money when I work, but then I can't work because of my diagnosis. The way I usually work. I was working like 4 or 5 nights, 12-hour shifts a week. That's how
Hmm.
and now it's like I'm working like one here, 12 hour, and then one here, and I'm exhausted. My stamina just hasn't returned yet.
Yeah.
And the breast team,
What do you do in a session? What is your role
it depends on what the
per
client,
shift?
what it
Okay.
depends on what the client needs. The one that I'm on now, I am really, really lucky because it's fairly easy. She is ambulatory. She can walk, she's walking with a walker. And I just have to remind her she's a little bit demented, and
Okay.
just to remind her just to do, just things, it's called things of daily living, with things you would do when you go to
Hmm.
bed, when you get up, when you. But I work at night, so it's like when she goes to bed. But I don't even have to do bathing because they usually bathe in the afternoon.
Mm.
So it's just keeping them safe. It's called standby assist because she's walking with a walker. It's very, very, it's easy. It's an easy
Hmm.
job, and it's a nice job. And it's one thing about most of my jobs. It's been in the ritzy ritzy part of town,
Mm.
rural ritzy part of town. I mean, like estates town. I had a client a couple years ago at an estate, and his bedroom was like the house was here, and you go down 2 steps, and then there's another building which is its bedroom, like that. Just beautiful places to work, and I've really been fortunate that way since I've been working.
Mm.
I like it a lot, but it's still not. I'm not making the money that a RN would be, registered nurse would be making, and
Right. Right.
and then I mean with my diagnosis, that kind of goofed up everything because I'm spendthrift also.
Uh-huh.
That's terrible. But I've learned this last since December that I kind of have to like cool it, because of things that are going on. But there's different things, programs that will help. And this thing about, well, I have to move, but there's places that will help you find a place and help you pay for your rent over here, because it's like rent is just out of this world. It's just like too much.
Yeah. Well, I know also you had some support through Burley Cares and
Oh my
through
goodness.
the community as well.
Yeah, Miss Charlemagne, Stephanie, I'll tell you, I don't know what I would have done if, you know, when I first talked to her, I told her, I said, I'm okay because, I have, it's my savings. I said, I still have money, blah, blah, blah. This is like after the surgery. I said, but February, March is when I'm going to run out of money. I can see it now. I know. I know.
Yeah.
I cannot live on my Social Security only. It's impossible. That's my rent is. But anyway,
Yeah.
she put it out there, and I was amazed. I was like in tears. I don't know. I still think about it now, and I get teary eyed because wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Every time I think about this happens, I get real teary eyed. But all the people that contributed, that gave, I was just blown away. I mean, I had no idea that many people in the burlesque field, they even knew me, let alone wanted to help like that.
Yeah.
So I am forever, ever thankful. Oh, and Twirl, she's really having a big, big production. I think, what is it? I think in 2 weeks, and it's supposed to be a fundraiser for me. Like I said, I'm just blown away with all the love that's been shown to me.
Mm.
Really.
Yeah. Well, you're a symbol of resistance and resilience. So the idea of a lot of folks who are doing burlesque now or are artists or are weirdos or are, doing these things that are frankly, I think we're all a little scared of because, as we talk about the intersection of our trans community, of our POC community, of our immigrant community, of all of these, of our queer and plus size and all of these things, disabled, all of these things, we look and say, see, we're not new. We can look back and say there were people who were doing this before us. And that is, I think, is why when you did walk at the Burlesque Hall of Fame, you had Black entertainers and Black audience members come up to you because to see oneself as a very powerful thing, and to see oneself as an older person is also a very powerful thing because a lot of us grew up not knowing how long we would last, to be perfectly honest, you know? So to know that there is something above is really a really a powerful thing. So I thank you for sticking through and being with us because you know it's really cool. It's really cool to know that, you know, and you know, as a young queer guy, I was always attracted to like the sassy broads and you know the ladies who would you know who would talk body and so to be in an industry where I can just like turn around and there you are, there you all are. I'm curious since you did not know so many of the legends that we also refer to as legends in you know in our scene, since you didn't work with a lot of them,
Yeah, because they were.
have you been able to make recent connections with them and share notes and become friends after the
Oh,
fact almost?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what was so absolutely great. I mean, like after my first roommate was Bambi.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's who I stayed with, Bambi, and boy, she was a riot. I could, but she, it was like I would dead tired, and she'd say, "Well, time to go." After the performances that night to the after party, and she would go, and I could not go to the after party. I was like zonked. I'll never forget the first time I went to B-Hop. But she was like raring to go.
Oh yeah.
Bambi, yeah, Bambi was a friend. Gina, of course. Dina has become one of my absolute super duper terrific friends. We talk on the phone. We exchange skips. She sends me little things. She went to Japan. She sent me something. She always sends me things, but we talk a lot. Um, Tiffany, of course, Tiffany,
Hmm.
same thing. I'm trying to think. Shenandoah. I no longer talk to Shenandoah, but I check in with Adina. Adina checks in with her all the time. She goes to visit her. Yeah. I'm trying to think. What other? Oh, Madame E.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Madame E. She had the same diagnosis as me, even the same type of cancer.
Mm.
Um, yeah, she's helped a great deal. She's been, yeah, yeah, simply because she has the very, very same type, that I had, and she had the same surgery, but she had more treatment, and I did not want to do all the treatment. I figured I'd be dead if I did because of
Mm.
my age. She did
Mm.
a treatment. She told me it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Big
Yeah.
difference. And
Right. She would have been
it's,
in her
it's
50s. Yeah.
it's just that I have taken care of, I don't know how many people. I've taken them to their treatments. I've seen them do their treatments, and then a year later they're dead, simply because their body is given out, and not necessarily were they in their 70s either. And so, like I'm thinking, and I've read so much since I got my diagnosis. I mean, I've been reading, and then I came to the decision. I'm not going to do all of the treatment. I'm
Well,
not.
what is your prognosis? What are they saying for you that you're just going
They're
to be
saying,
maintaining?
okay. When I all the That's why I did so much reading, because I wanted to see what other people that had my type of cancer. It's triple negative breast cancer. That's the most aggressive one.
Mhm.
It's one that they say it just about always comes back. And regardless of what kind of treatment that you get, chemo or radiation, there's microscopic cells that have already gone to parts of your body already, even though regardless of what surgery that you've had, whatever. And so I said, that's why actually it could come back within a year, 2 years, maybe, maybe not. Because I mean, there's people that they had this diagnosis, they did exactly what I did, and it hasn't come back. So I'm just praying and hoping, and I'm taking certain things so that there's not a recurrence. So I'm fighting, that way, and I'm going to continue. I bought so much stuff, so much, but do you believe broccoli sprouts and eating broccoli? But broccoli sprouts, there's something in broccoli sprouts called sulfa, something or other, I can't even pronounce it, that has actually, and they won't, because of big pharma, it's like the doctors aren't allowed to say, to give you this particular, and it has to, because it hasn't been approved by the FDA, but it's something that you can do on your own. You can actually grow broccoli sprouts yourself, or you can buy them. But I think growing them is better because they're there and there's nothing else in them. But on Whole Foods, they actually have broccoli sprouts also. So, but I just hoping that's all I can do. That's all. The only thing that is going on right now with me is the stamina, the fatigue problem. That's what is just a big downer for me, that I can't run around and do everything that I want to do, or when I do something, it's like I have to take a nap for half an hour, or at least it's only half an hour. It used to be a couple of hours. Improved. It has improved now that I think about it. It used to be like 2 hours, and then it was like an hour. So I am getting better. It's, as far as the fatigue part, that's what bugs me more than anything. That's what's preventing me from working the way that I. But then again, I mean, the last treatment was March the 17th, and like the breast team, there's 4 nurses. They're called the breast team. You call them whenever you want to ask a question. They say it has not been that long at all. This could go on, they said, for a year and a half. So you just have to be patient and just give your body. And my body, it's still, my boob is still healing. It's still, I don't get those electrical shocks anymore like I used to, but I still have pain. And it's they moved breast tissue from the left side of the breast to the right side. And that's where the right side, it's where the tumor was. But she moved some of the breast tissue over so the breast wouldn't be, like flat. And it looks good if you're looking like straight on, but on the right side you can see that's where the scar is, and that's where there's indentation. So it's funny. I sent a picture to Twirl, and she said, "Hey, that doesn't look bad." I said, "I know. You sound just like the plastic surgeon." That's what he said. I had a consult with the plastic surgeon, and he said, "Yeah, not bad." I told him I am not having implants. You get implants, they have to put spacers first, so that's one surgery, and then you get another surgery to put the implants in. And I told him, I said, nope, not doing it, not putting anything else in my body, no way, shape, or form. And then he said, well, the other boob, he says, we can make it a little bit smaller so it'll, look like the other boob. And I said, yeah, that's a thought. He says, or we can take fat from your thighs or your butt and put it in your breast that had the surgery to fill it out on that one side. And I said, okay. But he said, we're not doing, you have forever to decide. There's no time limit. This is paid for. Kaiser does this. That is paid for. And I said, okay, but it's like I'm not anywhere. I'm not healed yet. I'm still, like I said, I'm still having, pain. So I don't know if I'm definitely not implants. I'm not, and I don't I don't know. I don't think like Madam E. She says I only have a half a boob left, and I don't care. I have my health.
Yeah.
She's been here 20 years, so I don't think I'm going to. And then after that, anesthesia delirium thing for almost 3 months. Do I want to go through that again? I mean,
Yeah.
you've been listening to me how I speak now, how I talk
Uh-huh.
now, how things I don't remember the words. Like when I hesitate, that means because I can't find a word.
Hmm.
Okay, do I want to go through that again? No, no. And I'm just hoping that this will improve because that kind of drives me crazy when I can't remember words. And then my girlfriend said, she said that could be your age. I said, yeah, I know, I know. Yeah,
That could be something entirely different, yes.
she's 2 years older. She's 2 years older than me, and she does it. She forgets words too. And then my older sister, she's 3 years older than me, and she just, I don't know. She's so blunt sometimes. She goes, "You're old. That's all. You're getting old." And that's how she tells me like that. I said, "Oh God,
My
stop
husband
it."
says that, and he's not much older than I am, and I find that very rude.
Yeah, yeah, I do too.
But
I
I
mean,
understand. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, because I'm 42. I'll be 43 in a couple of
I'm
in
still a
a
baby.
I at a
I mean,
certain point I'm at this weird crossroads because for some people, the folks that I talk to and hang out with, I'm a baby because he says the same thing. But then
mhm.
for a lot of other folks, I'm like this queer elder, and I didn't necessarily anticipate that as being because I've been in the scene, I've been in burlesque 20 years. So I'm looked at as sort of like having been through some stuff and that's very cool. I have no problem with that at all. But it's like this little mid ground that I'm working through because I'm not a newbie, I'm not a youngin, I'm not, but I'm also not a legend. I'm
But
somewhere in
you're
that middle.
Yeah, but you're still young though. I mean,
Yeah,
really, you're still young. You mean 20 years in burlesque. That means you've had a lot of life experiences, and that's good. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. There's still more to come.
yes, yes, there
Yeah.
is
Uh,
very much so.
well, I thank you so much for talking with me and sharing just a little bit about your start and your rise and your little bit of a break and then your rise again because you are beloved in the community, Sean. I do hope you know that.
Oh,
Um,
most definitely, I do. I like I said, I was blown away, and what did Stephanie told me? She said the first week that she put out that they're a fundraiser, she
yeah.
said there was over 100 people that donated, and I went, what? Yeah, that really kind of blew me away when she said that, and then I think it went
Yeah,
on for 2 more weeks, and but it helps so much. So, in
yeah,
fact, I think I'm going to put another thank you. I think I've done it twice already, just to thank everybody again on like my every day. I've been putting things like on my page, things I find interesting, and blah blah blah.
yeah.
But I think I'm going to run that again, just to thank people again because it much appreciated. I mean, really, very very
Yeah.
much so.
Well, again, you represent something, and also what I really appreciate is that you're also still a fan. You like watching the shows, you like
Oh my
seeing the
goodness,
people.
very much so. That's this year. I missed so much. I really I did the oh, and then stupid streaming did
Yeah,
it I think it was good the first night Thursday, and then it
yeah, they had
ended,
some problems.
and then they had problems, and it was Saturday when I really really wanted to see, and I didn't, and especially uh Jen Minsky. Oh, she's
Yeah,
a good friend. We yak, but especially
good.
with her flyers. Poor little Kirby is it's one of her flyers. You know her little flyers she has, right? Her little sugar flyers.
Yes,
Her little
yes.
animal. Okay. Well, one's been sick. Kirby's been sick,
Hmm.
big time. Yeah. I mean, in the hospital, and Jimenez. Every time you have to take your animal to the vet, it's the arm and a leg and everything. But yeah, but every day I always, we anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that
I'm
you
so
have been
happy.
embraced because you are a sweetheart, an absolute sweetheart. I've loved seeing the pieces of you online when I've had an opportunity to see the footage of you that I haven't been present for. I've loved seeing you in person, and consider me anytime you want to chat. You let me know. I'd be delighted to keep in
Well,
touch.
I have your number now.
That's right, you do. I can say. Um, so before I let you go, I'm gonna make sure that I link to some other interviews that you've done and some other footage and some other information about you. Uh, do you have any specific memory from your past that you consider sort of one of like your greatest hits, like a great event that you went to, a great venue that you went to, a person that you met, or a show? Is there something that you look back and say, "Oh, I really did that"?
Outside of outside of Beehaw, the last two times I performed, um, and Land of the Sky,
Mm,
I've been really every time I have performed at a festival and Beehaw, I've got a standing ovation.
hmm.
And the only place I didn't was at What the Funk, but that's because of the way things were set up there. You know, they have like terraces on each side, and then there's
Uh-huh.
tables in the booths.
Yeah.
And so I figured, I said, well, maybe I didn't impress them, but at least they were still appreciative, though. I mean, they still yelled and screamed and everything. But all the other ones, I got a standing ovation, and that was great. But the first time that things were that I felt really special, and this was at that contest in Indiana, Dick Dross. I'm trying to think of the name of the Roselawn. That's what it was, Roselawn, Indiana.
Okay.
Look up Roselawn, Indiana, and the guy's name was Dick Dross, and it was Playboy was there, Cherry Magazine was there. What's that other magazine that guy he had a stroke or something and he wasn't, but he was he wasn't very nice. He had a
Oh,
oh I can't think of he had a magazine. He had a magazine. There
was
was
Hustler, Playboy, Penthouse,
Hustler.
Hustler.
That guy who owned Hustler.
Larry Flint.
Larry Flint. Larry Flint, right. Yeah. All those magazines, they were there and they were filming, and oh yeah. When that happened, they wanted me to come back the next year. I think because I did my country western show there, and my agent said, "I think they want you to come back." He said to perform for best entertainer, nude entertainer
Oh,
of the year. Yeah,
yeah.
I never finished telling you that, but anyway, but that particular when I was there, and it was outside
Yeah.
Roseland, Indiana. This is a big thing. It was like huge. It was, yeah, that was really something. Come to think of it, but anyway,
Yeah.
that was the first. That was when I really felt like, wow, I guess I am an entertainer because of the people that were there, the pictures that were taken, the photographers all over the place. It was like, oh yeah, and I never worked at a place like that since outside. I was like, that was like the biggest thing, and I wasn't even. That was like when I was first started too. I wasn't even doing. I don't even think I was doing my fire show then.
Well, there's footage. There's a magazine, The Entertainer, that Aquarius posted a couple of
Oh,
weeks ago.
I think
That was
that was from a club in Steubenville, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken.
okay.
Was it Steubenville or was it what other towns?
Uh, Let
Yeah,
me see here.
Steubenville. It's a place called the ITAN Club that I worked off and
Hmm.
on. That was like a hour and a half drive from home. I'm trying to think of the. I think it was Steubenville that
Okay.
they had an entertainer magazine and they did a story on me on that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I do have information on that. There was that one. I think I have to think about Dick Droz. Yeah, But the biggest thing, without a doubt, was when all those magazines were there, and I mean, it was like not a football stadium, but it was. I mean, it was like this place. It was like huge, but it's all outside. It was everything they had put up for outside. You know, the stage that was like they
Uh-huh.
put up the stage. There was, I don't know when they took and one thing that happened about that when they took pictures of all the people that had performed. I was like on the end of these benches that they had. There must have been like about 5 or 6 of them because there had to be like 20 people, and I was on the end. And when the photographer took the picture, they missed me.
Ah, bastards.
I know those.
That's why that's the thing. Whenever I do like a cast photo at the end of the show, I go to the front and kneel or lay down. I'm going to I go dead center, but I lay down so everyone still has it. Everyone's still in view. I'm not the star. I'm not the star, but I'm going
Right.
there. That's what I make sure. I make sure that I make that shot.
I know that's what I because I've done it a couple times at BHawk, when they do a group thing, and I'm like on the end, and then yeah, I think I did that the last festival at Colorado. And I got right in front. I was next to Brick House.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was standing next to her, and then that was a nice. People that were there were very, very nice. That festival, but the festival it wasn't. Oh, never mind. I won't say anything.
Oh, all right. You can tell me off the record. How about that?
It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't run right. It wasn't organized. That's the word. It wasn't.
Ah,
But thank goodness I had Alorum Velvet as my escort.
mm-hmm.
My goodness, she took care of everything. I really like. She was like my second like cat wings. Cat wing, just
Mm.
everything. I did never have to worry. Yeah, just perfect. I've had some really really nice escorts though. Cat wing
Yeah.
is like the best. But when I've gone, like on the road, and yeah, really nice.
Well, thank you for chatting with me. May your day and the rest of your week be fabulous, and your recovery as it continues to be smooth and gentle as best as it can be. I'm rooting for you. I know we all are because we want to be in your presence as soon as possible. So you
Yeah,
take your time.
yeah, I will. I just hope that I can come back to Behop because I just love that so much. It was, yeah, it's just fabulous. It's just all the shows are just. I can never get over all the great ideas that people have for putting shows together. You know. But anyway, I thank you very much also for
Yeah.
the. You made this very, very easy. I was really a little bit apprehensive. I said, "Oh, cripes!" I said, "Suppose I get to." I said, "And I can't talk and I forget words." And I said, "Well, I should just explain that up front, so in case it happens." So that's
Yeah, no, it's all good. Again,
yeah,
it's an understandable situation. I myself struggle for words on occasion. We all have our stuff, and I don't even have the medication to blame for it. So
thank you, Victor,
of
very much.
course, of course, and I do mean it. Anytime you wanna just shoot me a text or something like that, I'll bother you every now and then too. I don't want to be too invasive, but I'll bother you every now and then.
That's
Uh,
not. That's just being a friend.
all
That's
right.
all. It's just being a friend when you check in on people.
Of
Really
course, of
much
course. Well,
appreciated.
you are a delight, and I wish you nothing but every blessing. And I will talk to you another time. Okay?
Aloha.
Aloha, sweetheart.
You take care. Have a good
Mwah.
one.
Bye, darling.
Bye. Oh, what do you do? Will you just disconnect it, or do I have to disconnect on this end?
When I close out, it should tell you that the meeting has ended, and you can just exit the screen.
Oh,
All right?
okay.
Or we can just stay like
Okay.
this
All
forever. We
right.
can do that too. Bye, darling. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take care.
sweetheart.
Bye-bye. Bye.
We Burlesque the Podcast, created, developed, and edited by Victor Devon. Podcast artwork by Logan Laveau. We Burlesque the Podcast cover art photography by Atticus Stevenson. Theme song, Anna 45 by This Way to the Egress, used with permission. All incidental music via Pixabay under the expectation of fair use. Please visit WeBurlesquePodcast.com for notes on this and every other episode. Follow We Burlesque and Victor Devon on just about every platform, and support the podcast via patreon.com/WeBurlesque. Don't got the cash? Please follow, subscribe, and give 5 stars on every platform you can get your hands on. It really does help. All original material is owned by Victor Devon and White Elephant Burlesque Corporation. All other materials property of their respective copyright. No infringement, while likely, is intended. This episode, and all episodes thereafter, are in memory of Lucky Charming. Miss you, friend. And that's it.
Woohoo!